Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Marco DeRay Show, everybody. It is Thursday, November 13th, 2025. Thanks for tuning in to today's show to hear all the relevant groundbreaking news here in America and around the world, the only show where the facts are facts and hard truths thrive. Please don't forget to follow the show, share with whoever needs to hear the truth so we can make intelligence popular again in America, hopefully sometime soon. We need that more than ever right now. Hope everyone's ready for the best hour radio has to offer, uncensored and ready to go. Let's start off the show right away with this article I've got in the Blaze Media. I wonder if I want to hear this, by the way. It's very, very important. Let's talk what happened on January 5th of 2021. Most of us know very little about this, but Glenn Beck and his team at the Blaze worked with investigative reporters Steve Baker and Joseph Hanneman, and they spent several years working to identify the masked individual who actually placed pipe bombs near the headquarters of both the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee buildings in Washington, D.C. Now, Baker, whom the FBI under the Biden regime later arrested over his reporting of January 6th, can you believe that? I guess the Biden administration wasn't too keen on the free speech that Steve Baker tried to put out. But he revealed to Blaze Media co-founder Glenn Beck on Wednesday of last week that they actually found and locked in on a suspect who they believe placed these bombs. And what's more is that Baker actually hinted that the suspect, and it's, or his or her, they believe it's a female, the imminent identification would implicate at least one federal agency. Can you believe this nonsense? Can you believe we live in a world where we have the federal government now planting so-called bombs in various locations of our government? It's absolutely absurd to me to think this. But Baker wanted to tell Beck, he said, when I pulled this thread, I was so shocked by what I saw, I immediately took it to a source in one of the most important, highest-level investigative federal agencies in the country. I immediately took it to our sources and said, you got to see this. He says later, after about 2 hours, he got a response saying, holy blank. And the follow-up to the response was, she's one of us. Now, how do they figure this out? I'm sure you're all asking yourselves, how did this come to? Well, one of the things they look at in this video is they show the individual walking, and they're caught on camera, CCTV, okay? But one of the things they would look at closely, and they've been doing this for a while now, is what's called gait analysis. And what a gait is the way in which somebody walks or runs. So they can actually use this technology to actually see how your patterns of movement are. And they can trace it to somebody else and compare the information and come up with a match. That's really interesting when you think about it. But this, allegedly, this gait analysis of this individual, and they've verified this individual through private life and at work, the software came up with a 94% accuracy, which again, for human analysis from the experts in intelligence, is much higher. They looked at it and went, we got it. So they're very certain it's this person of interest that they believe to know. And, it just, again, to think that someone in our own federal government on January 5th, 2021, actually went out and did this, in and of itself is just, it's egregious. It's nefarious that a government employee would actually go out and commit such a crime, to create such a bomb threat like what we heard. Now, the American Bar Association Criminal Justice magazine noted in 2023 that the gait analysis, which has been used to help secure criminal convictions for many decades, by the way, can be very compelling in corroborating evidence, especially since criminals cannot hide how they use their gait. In other words, they can't really change how they walk. Simply like handwritten evidence. You can't change how your pen strokes and what have you, how you dot eyes and all that stuff is just intertwined into what you do. You can't really go in and change it. Those patterns are always there. Same thing with this gate pattern. Now, Baker indicated that he left some breadcrumbs in recent reports. Hanneman and Baker reported last week, for instance, that the 8.5-minute video about the January 6 pipe bombs released by the FBI in October contained footage edited to exclude showing the U.S. Capitol Police SUV pulling up across the street from where the suspect stood at about 8:15 p.m. on January 5th, 2021. So they're obviously trying to cover up for whomever this was. And again, I implore everyone to go to theblaze.com and actually check out this article and look at this. I mean, you can actually see this person walking. It gives way to, obviously, this is the person of interest. This is the person that did this. How ridiculous, though. How ridiculous. Baker told Glenn Beck on Wednesday that while the FBI and the Metropolitan Police Department were offering $500,000 for evidence that leads to an arrest in the case, he didn't take the new evidence implicating the yet-to-be named suspect to the agencies because he says, we believe that they were actively engaging in the cover-up. Hey, where's Kash Patel in all this, by the way? Anywhere? What are they doing at the FBI? I mean, this should be front and center right now. Baker then went on to indicate that there are also other national security-related briefings underway. And he said that the suspect's name will be released after the relevant agencies have been battened down the hatches. So hopefully something comes to fruition on this. Hopefully someone is charged. And he also believes that it's not someone working by themselves. So obviously it could be a group of people. Obviously there are people in the FBI helping to cover this story up. So there's your government hard at work for you, folks. Can you believe it? I can. Nothing ever shocks me anymore. By the way, he was also talking to Glenn Beck on his show, I believe last week as well, about the use of weaponry to the people that were protesting, obviously, the election in 2020. And he actually talks about the use of force against the people that were calmly just standing at the Capitol. And I want you to hear this clip because, again, it sheds light onto the reality of things that happened on that day that you were never told about. So we need to understand exactly, and again, we need to prioritize what happened on January 6th of 2021. Take a listen.
We have examined this particular story that we released yesterday. We've been looking at this for years. We've done updates, but finally, Joe Hanneman and myself, what we did is we started drilling down into identifying who these officers were once we knew that they were taking deliberately criminally negligent shots. These are training officers in use of less than lethal munitions, weapons, launchers, whatever they want to call them. And what we discovered by going straight to the manufacturers, by going straight to the people that certify the training officers, who train the training officers, is that they are told, instructed, it's printed on the sides of those weapons. You cannot aim them at people's heads, faces, necks, their groins, their kidneys. They can be deadly if you do so. And at the range that these training officers were firing these weapons in the first 10 minutes of the riot, these were deliberate shots. And one of our closest sources, a special operations guy from the Army, retired, very familiar with these devices, said that if they are training officers, they have uttered these words to their classes before. Oh, by the way, if you want to start a riot, shoot them in the head.
So we never heard this. You never heard this in the Biden administration, of course, that this was happening. No one was ever arrested for doing these things. I mean, you are able to peacefully protest. That's what was happening on January 6, 2021. They were protesting the results of the election. There was lots of irregularities throughout various states. Everyone has a right to protest that. Nobody showed up to the Capitol with guns that day. Guns a-blazing, right? To use a Trump term. But this didn't happen. There was no attempted insurrection that day. So why are the Capitol Police shooting at people standing on the Capitol steps? And again, isn't it convenient that we saw people in all this black-clad outfits, probably Antifa, I'd have to say, smashing windows, and Capitol Police are just standing there watching them, and then, a patriot walks up with a flag and goes, "What are you doing? Why are you just standing here letting this person do this? This isn't right." And they're just, three guys just standing there, idly, doing nothing. Then, of course, you have Capitol Police holding the door open for people to enter the building. Now, let me ask you this. If there was an insurrection, if there was a grave threat to the people inside, in the Senate, in the House, or what have you, why would you open the door and let people in? Does that make any sense to you? If there's an active insurrection going on, where you feel that the lives of the people inside are threatened, why would you hold the door open for people to walk inside? We saw it. We saw it on camera, folks. We saw it. And of course, if you can go after, grandmother by looking at her ear that were walking inside, how could you not find out who this person is now that actively planted a bomb threats at the DNC, at the RNC the night before? Right? We heard that as well. Oh, it's the MAGA people doing this. And then, of course, you find out it's somebody inside one of the agencies, probably the FBI, I'm guessing. But further, you actually had, 275 different feds on the ground that day? Who do you think these people were, telling everyone, let's go at it. Let's go do this. Let's charge it. Remember Ray Epps? Whatever happened to him, by the way? Do we ever figure out any of this nonsense that happens? Of course, it's blamed on Donald Trump. Even though Donald Trump never once that day echoed anything of the such to commit violence. I mean, we heard it. We're going to go to the Capitol and peacefully protest. He used the words, peacefully protest. And again, I bring this up to you because, again, who was armed that day? Who was actively armed in a organized effort to overthrow the government that day? That's not what that was. It was an active protest. And we saw the effects of that. We saw the staging of that prior. And I told you because, again, I do my research. I listen to various sources. A gentleman who was there that day was at the Capitol, I believe, early on in the day, very early, probably before around, 8, 9 a.m. in the morning, sometime around then. And you have one of these Antifa thugs in the middle of the street on a speaker saying, "We're storming the Capitol at noon. Be there." And on the adjacent streets, the people that he was with heard the exact same message. Capitol Police are right there, and he goes, are you going to do something about this? No, we got it. That's what he assured him. And then what happens? During the Trump speech, we have people trying to get through the barriers, enter the Capitol. So, I mean, again, and then we obviously know now, 275 federal agents on the ground planted there that day. To what? Stage an insurrection? Stage a riot? Oh, look who's breaking through the barriers. Those damn Republicans again. And wasn't it convenient too? Up until that point, we heard people on the floor objecting, obviously, to certain elections in various states. Various states sent multiple electors over disputes and over these irregularities. All that went away when everyone had to close down the Capitol, and we never heard about it again. There was no more talk about these things on the Capitol floor. Isn't that convenient? Gives you something to think about, doesn't it? But again, this is a big case. I haven't heard it very much of anywhere, but I wanted to obviously go over this because this is important if your government is doing these types of things, folks. They don't have a right to do any of this. They don't have a right to stage events. They don't have a, commit acts of terror, which this obviously would be, planting a bomb next to the RNC and the DNC during one of the most highly contested elections in American history. But why don't we know anything about this? How come this isn't all over the news? How come there's no justice for the truth? Why don't we have this? And again, why don't we have this individual identified already? Who is this hoodied bomber? We don't know yet. And again, where's Kash Patel? Why hasn't Kash Patel come out and make a comment about this. What are they doing to ensure that this person or peoples are held accountable? Because obviously it's more than one person involved in this. And again, who in these agencies are covering this up? You heard it. The guy said, she's one of us. That tells you something. Most likely FBI, I'm guessing, if I have to be honest. So, yep. The Blaze broke this. I would go check out that article if you're further interested in this, of course. Oh, by the way, the Epstein files dropped yesterday evening. I'm sure most of you had seen that. And obviously, it's already creating fodder for the Democrats, of course. But this is important to know. On Wednesday evening, of course, the House Oversight Committee released more than 20,000 pages related to Jeffrey Epstein, including, of course, email referencing Donald Trump as part of the ongoing inquiries into the Epstein criminal activities and relationship continues. And among some of these are this 2011 email from Epstein to convicted co-conspirator. I guess we're still calling her that, even though apparently it was just those two. Isn't that funny? It was just, those two. That's what we're being told. She's trafficking everybody to simply Jeffrey Epstein, of course, but everyone wants to know what Trump did. It's pretty comical. And the email stated from Epstein said, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. And in quotes, in brackets says, victim spent hours at my house with him. I don't know what they're referring to, or what they're alleging to refer to, but the emails released by the House Oversight Committee included the name Virginia, and which obviously the White House asserted referencing Virginia Giuffre, who recently died via suicide this year, allegedly. I mean, I don't really buy that for a second, but that's what they're claiming, of course, that she committed suicide in Russia. Isn't that something? She had to flee to Russia because she felt at unease about all this, and then all of a sudden she kills herself. Really makes you wonder. Really does make you wonder. But why does this matter, right? Why does this matter? Well, we should know what's happening in all this. We should have people's names. There should be investigations going on about all this. But why are they just focused on Donald Trump? Again, who's been alleged to have done what? What information has come forward on all this? Now, again, I'll be the first one to tell you, if not the last, or hopefully I'm not the first one to tell you this, we should have answers on this. There should be an investigation onto all this. There's been millions of dollars paid out to these victims. There's said to be some 1,000. I believe there's 200 remaining. I guess you can take that how you will. But again, you have both political parties invoking the scandal and ongoing debates right now. And again, the precise nature of Trump's interactions with Epstein, again, whether or not he alleged to have participated in some of these criminal activities remains central to these questions. And again, we should have answers to it. They did know each other. We know this. It's undeniable. But again, why are we just focusing on Donald Trump? There's other people involved in this too. Les Wexler, one of the top names of this, one of the big financiers of Jeffrey Epstein. How come he's never questioned any of this? Again, there's other big names in here as well. But why are we not told any of this? Now, according to Giuffre, repeatedly she refuted any allegations that President Donald Trump was involved in any of these criminal acts. That's what she had sworn in her testimony in her memoir that she released. But one of Epstein's most prominent accusers said that she did not believe Trump was involved in any of these Epstein's sexual abuse of minors. That's what she wrote, of course. Now, although she made no allegations against President Trump, she has described meeting him in context unrelated to the Epstein crimes. So, this is just we need to get information on this, folks. And again, us being told, there's nothing there. It was just Epstein. It was just this Ghislaine woman. Don't worry that her father was Mossad. Don't worry about any of that. Don't worry that her father's one of the biggest textbook producers in this country. Don't worry about any of that. Just ignore it. Just go on with your time. Just forget about it. Right? We gave you the redacted pages. Just be happy with what we gave you. Forget all about it. Don't ask any questions. I mean, it's really pathetic. And again, this is part of the problem with Trump right now. He promised to release these files. Promised to give, obviously, justice to these victims, of course. And we got nothing. You know, we saw people standing up with these stupid binders with smiles on their dumb faces. We're like, what the hell is this? This isn't information. This is nothing. We got anything on JFK, 9/11, RFK, MLK? What have we gotten as far as releasing this information to the public? Absolutely nothing. And we're supposed to be told this is the most transparent presidency ever. I mean, if this is transparency, I mean, we might as well be sitting in the dark, folks. Just to be honest with you. Oh, by the way, the inclusion of President Trump and former President Bill Clinton in the newly released correspondent underscores the scandal's bipartisan reach and ongoing public demand for transparency regarding Epstein's network of associates and, of course, his political friends. Now, both President Trump and Clinton deny any wrongdoing and have never been charged with criminal activity. I thought Bill Clinton was on the island, 26 times? We saw this in records. Bill Clinton went without any type of Secret Service or security with him. He goes to this island, in the Virgin Islands, 26 times, unaccompanied. Makes you wonder. Yeah. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Oh, folks, I mean, I don't know. Do we get any answers? Will we get any answers from this? Something tells me we're not going to get these. I mean, we would have gotten it by now. And again, we know JP Morgan Chase Bank dished out, $800 million? Deutsche Bank, some $200 million? Now, if there's no victims, or if the victims are only of Jeffrey Epstein, why don't they just tell us this? Well, again, why are you dishing out this money if there's no victims, allegedly? It was just Jeffrey Epstein. And, of course, this woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, who apparently did all the pimping for him, allegedly. She's the head madam. Why don't we have any information on this? This is my question. Where's the information? You know, we get these little feelers here and there. You know, none of these emails prove anything, by the way. Just an email. There needs to be an actual ongoing investigation of the surviving women. Or they can go through this book that, Virginia Giuffre released, where she's obviously going to name names. And you go through and you make an investigation. You take the other 200 women that are still living, and you say, what did you see? Who did you see? And you build a case on that. Well, was so-and-so here on this day? Oh, okay. Now you can build a case. And then again, folks, we know this too. We know Epstein had all these rooms rigged. Okay, with video footage, camera recording technology. You're telling me the FBI didn't get any of that? Come on. I mean, let's not be a babe in the woods here. Obviously, they've got a plethora of information. And again, Pam Bondi went on, said that she had the client list right there. The client list obviously referring not to, obviously, I don't think Epstein just sat there and wrote down names, but obviously the list of people who he was involved with this. Obviously, they have this record information because of this technology they had bugged in every single room. Why would you bug every single room in your house if it's just you doing this? Now, maybe he is a sick freak. Who the hell knows? But obviously, this sounds like a blackmail scheme. And pedophilia. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, I could be wrong. I have no idea. But again, this is what it sounds like to me. And we should not ignore something like this or just take it lightly. That it's just simply one man doing this when he has room after room and house after house all around the world, not just in the Virgin Islands, but in Manhattan. And I think he has a place in France. He has places all over the place. And each and every one of these rooms are bugged with this recording devices. Why would you do that? Now, if you're at a party, you say, hey, you go use my room. Oh, it's fine. Yeah. Again, I'll implore you to go watch the Godfather Part 2. Remember the senators in the room with the woman slain? I didn't know what happened. Oh, well, we're here to help you. You can't say anything. You got to do this for us. We'll make it go away. Those are such brilliant movies, by the way. I mean, come on. They tell you these truths, folks, things that happen. By the way, Jasmine Crockett tried to take aim at President Trump, of course. It didn't go well for her. The low IQ Congresswoman was on the Commie News Network, CNN, confronted on air with the Democrats. I think it was Wolf Blitzer and who's the other woman on there? I don't even know her name. I don't even want to know her name. to be honest with you. But it didn't go well for her. Didn't go well as planned, of course. Why is she on all these podcasts? Why is she always on all these news channels? I don't understand it. What does this woman do besides go on these shows? Does she write any legislation? Does she do anything? Of course not. But she was confronted on air after Democrats were caught selectively redacting Epstein documents to create a manufactured narrative aimed at smearing President Trump. Now, even the far-left CNN, one of the most loyal to the radical left, had no choice but to admit actually what happened. And again, it didn't go well for her, and you'll hear why in just a second. And again, I apologize for you for having to listen to her voice right now.
This is an email from April 2nd, 2011. Republicans are saying that victim is Virginia Giuffre. As you know, she died by suicide. She's been very outspoken victim of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that, and can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
okay,
but I'm just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims. And obviously, she wrote a book. She told her truth.
So she told her truth. And she said she didn't see President Trump. I mean, she's not obviously confirming he's never done anything wrong, but she's saying she never saw him do anything. Okay? In the time she saw him. But you see how uneasy she is right there. Oh, well, like, I mean, this is this woman. I mean, what, 2 neurons are firing off right now? I mean, come on. What the hell is this? This is who CNN has on to discuss this? And again, what does Trump have to do with any of this? Is there any information Trump did any wrongdoing? I'm open to hear it. But until we get that information, what is this constant just Trump business? Again, I think it's a bad look that he's blown this off like this. I thought it was absolutely absurd that he did that. Unprofessional. I mean, it was a total slight to, obviously, we that put him in power that wanted to see this information come out and these people go down. And if there is some type of blackmail ring via pedophilia coming from the entertainment world or, the political world or whomever is doing this, go look at Puff Daddy or P. Diddy or whatever the hell he calls himself now. If people are doing this to our politicians or whomever, blackmailing them, we should know about this. And again, I just thought it was interesting, too. All this is supposed to start coming out. Then all of a sudden, Netanyahu goes to the White House. We hear nothing from the news about what they met about. He leaves. Again, we hear, are you talking about Jeffrey Epstein? I thought that was settled a long time ago. Who cares? He's been dead for 6 years now. We're all like, what does that have to do with anything? Again, if people are committing crimes against children, against minors, we should know about this, who these people are, and they should be held accountable for this. That should be the right response to all this. And again, it doesn't mean Trump has done any wrongdoing, but why is he covering for these people? How come all of a sudden, Cash Patel, there's nothing there. Dan Bongino, there's nothing there. I looked through all the files. Oh, yeah, he definitely killed himself. Really? He killed himself with a paper blanket? He hung himself? How'd he hang himself? There's nothing to hang yourself from the ceiling with. Paper blankets, really? And of course, conveniently, in the video footage, there's a minute gap every time at this hour when the camera resets. No one could have, walked about. No one could have walked in. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't think he's dead either, by the way. I don't think he's dead. I'm just going to go and be honest with you. I don't believe Jeffrey Epstein's dead. No way. A self-absorbed, deluded lunatic like that, killing himself? Come on. He's obviously somewhere else. Probably got some, facial reconstructive surgery. And he's out there living his life. And we're all here arguing about what he's done. And say, he's dead. Don't worry about him. Now, the one person that I think has been consistent about all this, too, by the way, Thomas Massey, Probably one of the few politicians I actually can stomach. And it's just because he's honest about what he goes after. He's consistent. And I like that about a politician. He's standing up for what's right. This is what he told the Crime News Network just the other day.
Well, I vote with my party 91% of the time, and which means I have agreed with the president 91% of the time. But when they're protecting pedophiles, when they are blowing our budget, when they are starting wars overseas, I'm sorry, I can't go along with that. And back home, people agree with me. Well, I vote with my...
Yep, he's absolutely right. He's very consistent. He votes with Republicans 91% of the time, but he doesn't agree with what's happening here. He wants to see these files released. He doesn't want us to have a bloated budget. He doesn't want us to start wars overseas with Venezuela, Nigeria, any of these countries. What's happening in the Middle East right now? That's continuing on. So much for a ceasefire. What's happening in Ukraine right now? We're going to talk about Ukraine in just a little bit here. But I want to go over one more point here, just so we're all clear on all this. By the way, the New York Post has this article. It says, Jeffrey Epstein confirmed photo of then Prince Andrew and accuser Virginia Giuffre is real. So now we have this evidence right now, of course. We know he's paid money out, so obviously there's more evidence to corroborate all this, or possibly things that had happened. And in this photo, too, you have Ghislaine Maxwell in the background. So obviously she could confirm if that was true or not. Again, I don't know how much you would believe her. But, I mean, this is what is going on here. So now we've got an email leaked to confirm the infamous photo of then Prince Andrew. What was he supposed to be? Mountbatten Windsor. I think that name's been scraped from him. His brother had to remove all these titles from him. And about obviously all where he could live and whatnot. That's how much of a wonderful guy he is. But again, he's posing with his teenage sex accuser, Virginia Giuffre. And now we're confirming now that this is legit. Again, despite the disgraced ex-prince repeatedly suggesting that it was fake. But look at this. The convicted pedophiles' mentions of Andrew were among those laid bare in the trove of documents released by the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday. This is not a good look for the royal family, folks. I just want to share that with you, all of you. Now, in an email exchange with a reporter in 2011, again, why would a reporter be exchanging emails with Jeffrey Epstein? I have no idea. Epstein did acknowledge that the then royal had been snapped in a photo with Virginia Giuffre. The BBC then reported. He says, yes, she was on my plane, and yes, she had her picture taken with Andrew, as many of my employees have, is what Epstein wrote as he trashed Giuffre's credibility. Okay. This is such weird stuff. I mean, it's just sickening to me. I mean, I don't know. So the ill-famed photo was taken around 2001 and capturing Andrew with a smile, with his arm wrapped around Giuffre's waist, as Epstein's madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father is Robert Maxwell of Mossad, stood next to them. Just thought I'd throw that last part in there for you to understand. Giuffre, who died by suicide earlier in April, had long claimed Epstein and Maxwell forced her to have sex with Andrew when she was just 17 years old. All right, so I'm not going to go into details about all this, but it is coming to light, of course, that yes, that picture is real. But the bigger question is, why would Prince Andrew know her? That's the big question. Why would he be taking a picture with this random young woman who's a minor? Why would that be a thing? Why would she be associated with these people? That's what you have to ask yourself. A lot of people blow, well, these are just young adults. These are young girls, 18, 19, 20. These guys are just, partying with them. Evidently not. If the picture is corroborated to be truthful, there's forensic evidence to prove that it's a real picture. Why is he in a picture with this random woman? How does he know her? Why does she know them? Unless, of course, they are recruited by Maxwell to do these things. So, will we get more information? I hope there's more information. I hope there's more investigations into this. And that people that have done these unspeakable things are brought to justice. That's the only thing we can hope for at this point, folks. Hope our DOJ gets off their asses and actually does something. Until then, We get hearsay information. We get, this was true. This picture's real. Okay, so what are we going to make of it? What are we going to make of all this? And again, why is he paying out money? Well, for taking a picture with a woman? Okay. Or a minor? Why is he paying out all this money? That's what else you have to ask yourself. And again, why did JP Chase Morgan, why did Deutsche Bank, why are they paying hundreds of millions of dollars to 200 different victims? What are they paying them money for? Where's the money going? Were they involved in some money laundering, folks? Maybe. I think so. So those are the questions you have to ask yourself. How did this all come to? Is there financial evidence that links Epstein to these people, to these young women? Is it blackmail money? What's going on here? We have a right to know this. So I wanted to clear all this up today with all these things that are happening. Of course, what was happening with our FBI on January 6th. Of course, what's happening in this Epstein case. We're in the dark about all this. And we should not be in the dark about all this. We should have information on this, and it should be brought to us. All right, that being said, ZeroHedge. California cancels 17,000 commercial driver's license following a federal audit. Well, what a shock there. What a shock there. California's Department of Motor Vehicles has canceled now 17,000 non-commercial driver's license. Because why? Well, because the U.S. Department of Transportation actually went after them and conducted a federal audit of the state's CDL program. And, I guess after, a couple different people crashing their semis, killing innocent people, citizens, the Trump DOT had enough of this. Now, in a press statement on Wednesday, the Department of Transportation asserted that the state officials admitted to illegally issuing the CDLs to dangerous foreign drivers. Yep. And that the DMV sent notices to the license holders that their license no longer meets federal requirements and will expire in 60 days. Oh, good. Hey. Good job, Gavin. Way to go, Gavin. There you go. Way to go, Kamala. You're one of the people that allowed 1 million illegals to gain driver's license. But we know a lot of these people came in 2018, 2019, 2020, all this stuff, and getting California state driver's license. Now, again, who was governor in 2019, 2020, 2021? Well, of course, it'd be Gavin Newsom, right? The first one, I think, was 2018 when he was lieutenant governor, so it wouldn't be through his directive. Of course, that would be falling on Jerry Brown's hands. But in 2015, when Jerry Brown was governor of California, the state issued 1 million driver's license to illegal aliens. So now they can go to a different state and say, oh, look, here's my driver's license. Boom, they get another state driver's license. Big, big problem. And again, this falls on the federal government, too, at the time. Because, again, these are federal documents as well. So we've got access. What was the Department of Transportation doing to issue some of these? Well, again, they're getting fraudulent information coming out of the state of California. And again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Sean Duffy said, my team will continue to force California to prove they have removed every illegal alien from behind the wheel of semi-trucks and school buses. Why not deport these people? Why not figure out who these people are? These 17,000 say, goodbye, you're gone, adios, arrivederci, goodbye, get the hell out of here. What's that going to do to California's economy, too? Now they have 17,000 less truck drivers, apparently. Yeah, I wonder what that's going to do to the supply chain issues. God only knows. Yeah, California's a mess right now, folks. It's not a good thing. Again, this is indicative of the state legislature, the people running the state. This is a big problem. When you're issuing illegal aliens driver's license. Not only is that illegal, but who's going to be held accountable for it now? Okay, we got rid of these 17,000. They all should be arrested. They all should be deported. And by the way, expiring in 60 days. How about right now? Why are we waiting 60 days? They're illegal aliens. They have no right to even be in this country. 60 days. They should be found out where these people are, arrested, and deported. And whoever is illegally allowing this, and they obviously know that these people are illegal aliens, don't think they don't know this, they should be in trouble. They should be charged. Now, even more concerning is the fact that 3 of these transactions, the DMV was unable to provide documentation showing that it validated the driver's lawful presence documents before issuing a CDL. There you go. There you go. Look at this. Look how sick this is. This is the state of California for you folks. It's a complete mess. It's been run into the ground by these pieces of garbage. And that'll continue to happen so long as schmucks like Gavin Newsom and the people else that would like to run the state continue to stay in power. There you go. So if you keep electing these dunces to office, you're going to get more of it. And that's what it comes down to. But again, my next question is, who are these people looking after? Are they looking after the American citizen? Of course not. They're helping out the illegal aliens. Why are they doing that? Well, because I guess they feel some type of communion with these people. I don't know. But we can't find truckers in California to do the job that are actual citizens that can work. That brings me to the next point, too. Coming out of the Federalist. It says this week, both President Donald Trump and Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem signaled that the U.S. needs to keep importing foreigners to American jobs. Why the hell do we need this? Again, why do we need... I talked about this the other day. I played you the clip. It's nauseating. President Trump sat down with Laura Ingraham and asked President Trump during this exclusive interview whether the H-1B visa thing would be a big priority for your administration. Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers. And she's absolutely right about this, and I'm glad she pressed him on this. And here's how the exchange went. I'll play it to you again.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
We have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
when you and I were
I'll give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, so there you go. Apparently, we don't have the talent here in America. I disagree with that completely. I talked with you the other day on the show. I told you we graduate 150,000 different types of engineers in this country every single year. We have some of the best. I looked it up too yesterday. I said, where are the best technology schools located in the world? And guess what? Of the top 10, 6 of them are here in the United States. So what does that tell you? 4 others were from the UK and 1 other was in Singapore. I think it was number 10. So we have top 10 schools for technology are located right here in the United States. Why the hell can't we produce this type of talent here in the United States? That's a big question you got to ask yourself. Why do you feel the need to bring in people from anywhere, primarily coming from India? And again, because Republicans want the cheap labor. That's what it comes down to. They don't really care about the talent. They just care about what do they have to pay people. And these people that donate to Trump want cheap labor. They don't want to pay higher wages. And again, he talks about talent. Folks, the average IQ in the United States is 98. It's dropped, I think, 2 points since 2000. It's gone down. It's not a very good thing. It used to be 100. But that's an average IQ. The average IQ in India is 76. That doesn't mean there aren't smart people from India. I've actually known many people that are brilliant that come out of India. But the idea that we just have no talent here and people just can't figure things out and we're just too dumb to work the jobs and the factories and what have you is a bunch of nonsense. Is an absolute bunch of nonsense. So the question remains, is this America first? This is what it comes down to. Now, again, importing foreign workers to take American jobs is the exact opposite of America first. I think you'd all agree on that. Why are we not looking out for the people that live here? That's my question. How come it's whatever a foreign nation, Ukraine, Israel, whomever, they need something, it's there. The blink of an eye, it's there. The money's there, the weaponry's there, everything is there for them. Yeah, look at our American cities right now. Most of them lie in ruins, empty buildings, decadent street, potholes in the roads. Yeah, go look at Moscow right now. Pristine. It's clean. It's booming. It's vibrant. Low crime. Look at our major cities now in this country. Yeah, go look at Chicago. Again, beautiful city. Not all parts of it are like this, but there are parts of it that are completely run down and crime-ridden. Same thing in New York City. Same thing in LA. Same thing in Miami. Same thing in Seattle, Oregon. In Portland, rather. Why are we allowing this to happen in America? It makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder sometimes, folks. We elected Donald Trump because he came out as Make America Great Again, America First. This is not America First. This is America Last, in my estimation, or at least America Second. Obviously, some people will benefit from cheaper labor, of course. Of course, that'll happen. But I'm going to read this to you in the article. It says, the late, great Charlie Kirk knew this all too well. It says, on October 14th, he posted a graph displaying the rapid decrease in the percentage of 30-year-olds who are both married and are homeowners. I talked to you about this I think a couple days ago. And this is the social compact breaking down. We need urgency to restore it. Number one, mass deportation. Is that happening right now? No, it's not. It's not happening right now. We're not getting mass deportation. We've only deported, just over 500,000 illegal aliens? Those numbers need to kick up, whatever number they have now, that it should be a monthly number. Hell, we had Bill Clinton in the 1990s deport 11 million. You tell me we don't have the technology today or the manpower to do it? Of course we do. Of course we do. Number two, stop the H-1B scam. Yes, we don't need this cheap labor coming into the country. We just don't. Certainly not en masse, the way they're trying to use it. And again, I just illustrated to you why. We have enough engineers in this country already. We have enough people that can create batteries and missiles and do these types of high-level things. We have this here. Number three, dramatically reduce legal immigration. Absolutely 100%. We don't need to keep importing 1 million people in this country every single year. We have young people that cannot buy homes. When we have people that can't get jobs. We have an unemployment rate. Why do you need this? When you have 42 million people on SNAP programs, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Plan, why do we need this? Why do you need this? You don't need to keep bringing people in this country 1 million every single year. Yes, they've done it the right way, and I applaud them for that, of course. But there is a time and a place when you need immigration. And that's when you're trying to build the country. Or when you have jobs, for example, and you have absolutely no one to work. We have people that can work these jobs. We just don't want to pay them for it. There's a difference. Number four, end chain migration and the visa lottery. Yep. Stop saying, well, because you're, a citizen, we're going to bring your whole family over now. Thank God for that. Got to stop doing this. And number five, he says, build 10 million homes for Americans. Good luck with that. I mean, we can barely get the ball rolling at all on this, by the way, mostly due to state legislation and whatnot. And again, 6, crush the college cartel. That means bringing in, 600,000 different Chinese nationals, taking the spots of Americans in these universities. And, the Trump administration, well, they're paying more money. We need to keep these schools open. Why? Half these jobs won't even be there in a couple of years due to AI. Well, we need more Americans in debt? We're well over $1 trillion in just student loan debt in this country. So what's the point? If there's no point to going to college because that job is no longer there, why the hell do we need to keep it running? And again, you don't need to always go to college to be successful. That's not true at all. I know people that are very successful that have not gone to college. It has nothing to do with intelligence. But sometimes it's just not necessary. Now, yes, if you're going to be a doctor, you've got to go to college, okay? That's just what you have to do. If you're going to be a lawyer, you have to do that. You have to go to college. You have to be a teacher because you have to have the certain requirements in order to do that. Other professions as well. But if you're going to run your own business, you don't necessarily have to go to college. In fact, I know most people that are small business owners didn't go to college. That's it. They just didn't go. They don't need it. Yes, of course, they need some capital. They've got to find a way to invest. They need to understand the business aspect of it. But you don't need to go get yourself indebted to go run a small business of your own. And again, a lot of people are very successful. These are very lucrative businesses. These people have skills. And again, I like that the Trump administration is pushing these trade schools as well. That's something very important. But the idea we have no talent in this country, that we have to bring in 1 million people this year, we have to bring in people. There's H-1 visa program. It's just stupid. It's just not necessary. It's not 1900 anymore when we needed people to come in and work these factories because there simply weren't enough people in the country to work it. It's a different time today. It's a much different time. And you cannot have this unchecked, unbridled immigration in the country. That's just not going to work. You don't need to keep importing 1 million people every single year. Because those people come in, they take the homes over that your kids that are getting out of college will be taking, by and large. Again, where is America first right now? And if Trump doesn't start changing things very soon, that whole idea of winning in the 26 elections for Republicans is going to drop quickly. We got to get a hold of this economy. I've talked to you about this in days past. We've got to get the economy working again. It's got to become more vibrant. It's got to grow. We've got to get the inflation down. That's important. I understand Trump inherited a bad economy. I understand this. But he's been president now for, almost 11 months? We've got to see these things starting to turn around. We've got to see that there's a future for young people. We got to stop protecting these colleges that put out more communists than they do actual careers. Just thought I'd share that with you as well. All right, let's move on. And by the way, I'll go over this quickly. With this in the Washington Examiner, it says Republicans reckon with energy price backlash in election losses. What are they talking about here? Well, we saw that last week. We had the losses in the off-cycle elections that are prompting the reflection among Republicans about energy policy. And as Democrats won by emphasizing affordability concerns, think Bum Dummy, think Spam Burgers, think Cheryl, think, all these things. They're talking about affordability. Now, are they going to deliver on this? Probably not. But it doesn't matter. They just talk a good game. But this is the central issue to the voters. It's going to remain a top concern for voters in the 2026 elections. That's just a truism. Now, the Democratic Party swept through these gubernatorial elections in Virginia, New Jersey. Again, they're blue states. There's 1 million more registered Democrats in New Jersey than there are Republicans. It was a very big long shot for Jack Ciattarelli. And again, there's also several key ballot races in New York, Georgia, Pennsylvania, where Democrats won. Now, the highlighting skyrocketing energy prices, right? Electricity, what have you, and other rising costs of living in such a way that Republicans wished their own candidates had followed suit. So, you need to address the affordability issue here in America. We'll do that tomorrow on the show when we do our economic rundown report for the week. But while President Trump has vowed to slash these energy prices, electricity prices in half, there is still widespread agreement that these costs are only expected to rise in the coming months. So again, by early next year, if the economy's still in the same way it is now, you're going to see the Democrats take back that House. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Now, in the latest update, the Consumer Price Index, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, found that electricity prices rose by 5.1% for the year ending in September, nearly double the rates of an overall inflation. So look how much more money you're paying for electricity. And obviously now we're entering the winter months, so most of the country is going to be turning on the heat every day. Those prices add up over time. And again, voters clearly signaled discontent with these energy prices. You had roughly 87% of New Jersey voters calling electricity prices a big problem where they live. Now, again, why would you vote for the Democrats who are running that right in the ground so you're paying more? I have no idea. But the Democrats talk a good game. Does that mean they'll get fixed? Probably not. I'll look no further than my former state, California, where they pay exorbitantly higher energy prices, almost double than the national average. But you're seeing this problem in a lot of these blue states. Why is that? Well, because they're investing in green energy and not actual carbon-based energy that you actually have a supply of. Again, a major big problem. So again, there's no question electricity prices are increasing and that people are going to start talking a lot more about it. Again, people are going to start pointing fingers as who is to blame. And are they going to blame Trump? I mean, our energy prices overall, in terms of gas, they're starting to drop considerably. That's one of the areas Trump has been very effective. Now, in certain states, depending on what they let in, what they drill for, what have you, are big reasons for this. There's no reason why California should be paying what they pay for electricity prices. They pay like 34 cents per kilowatt. I mean, it just adds up over time. And again, I implore everybody to go listen to my show about the 30 reasons why Gavin Newsom should never become president. We talk about energy prices there and the whole reason for that in the great state of California. But this is what we're seeing. And again, people are honing in on this. They're honing in on grocery prices. They're honing in on electricity prices. They're honing in on insurance costs and healthcare costs. And again, what is the government going to do about this? And again, don't just think it's just the federal government. It's also the state government as well. That has a big hand in a lot of these things. Now, here's what Mikey Sherrill vowed to lower energy costs and utility bills for New Jersey residents on day one. We'll see if that happens. Declaring a state of emergency. I love how they always declare a state of emergency. Everything's an emergency. Why don't you just lower the damn prices? Now, she proposed freezing. Oh, God, here we go. She proposed freezing utility rates and demanding that utility companies and state grid operators such as PSE&G, JCP&L, and PJM reduce prices. Now, listen, people. Here's the problem. You can't come in and just wave a wand and say, hey, you know what? You got to lower your prices, by the way. I just thought I'd share that with you. We all know what freezing prices does. We know what happens when you freeze rent. What happens? Well, eventually the price is going to skyrocket once you lift that memorandum. Same thing's going to happen in New York State real estate. He's going to freeze rent for what? 4 years? Then what happens after when they lift that memorandum? Your prices are going to skyrocket. You're going to have less homes being built in that time. Same thing goes with this energy. You could say, hey, you can only charge X, Y, and Z right now. But at some point, guess what? Someone's got to pay for that oil you're using now. It's called supply and demand there, Miss Cheryl. Maybe you could figure that out sometime if you knew what the hell you were talking about. But what she should be doing is, again, bringing in more oil supply or drilling for more. I don't know if they drill for oil in New Jersey. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But if you have a high demand, and again, New Jersey is a very densely populated state. If you have high demand, you expand your grid and you get more supply to fill that need. That's how you bring the prices down. You can't just say, hey, I really want you to lower the prices. Pretty please, with a cherry on top, please do that for me. It's not going to work. You can't freeze prices. They're going to skyrocket eventually. It's going to be like California. Yep, and you're already paying the highest corporate tax. One of the highest corporate taxes is, I believe, highest state income tax in the nation is New Jersey. Yep, good luck with that, folks. Good luck with that. Oh, by the way, Eric Ford, the president of the New Jersey Energy Policy Coalition, told the Washington Examiner that energy prices played a big role in the gubernatorial races. He said the energy prices we are seeing, they didn't happen overnight. Whoever's New Jersey's governor, whether New Jersey or Virginia, and both winners, they're going to have to confront the issue and take it on and listen to the experts in the industry. Now, the current increase in electricity and energy is not going away anytime soon, so you'll probably see this issue continue into the midterms, is what Ford said. So again, what has to happen? You expand your grid. You expand your grid, you get more supply. What is that supply coming from? More oil, more natural gas, more kerosene, whatever the hell it is that you need more of, you get more of. And that's the way it's going to work. Otherwise, you're going to be paying a lot more. Again, go look at California if you don't believe me. All right. Moving on. We'll talk more economy tomorrow, folks. One more thing I want to go over today before we end today's show. This is important. I want you to understand what's happening. Russia now urges U.S. to extend the New START treaty. That's something very, very important. We haven't really agreed to this. Now, the original New START agreement signed in 2010 caps the deployed nuclear warheads at 1,550 and restricts the number of nuclear-capable missiles and launchers, as well as heavy bombers. Now, this is set to expire in February 5th of next year, and Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, who's a very good diplomat, by the way, has taken up the proposal to extend this now for another year as a key nuclear arms control treaty between the United States and Russia. So I think it's so funny that we always, blame Russia, they're dictators, this and that, and they're the ones coming to the table that are actually trying to keep this under control. Keep this under control in the midst of these unarmed nuclear-capable missiles that they're testing right now, both the United States and Russia. But he said, let's take a year to cool down, if you will, and consider the responsibility of great powers for global security and stability, especially in preventing a nuclear war. We are ready. So now the ball is in the United States court right now. Is the United States going to come out and say, okay, listen, we want to cool things down. We don't want a hot war. We don't want a nuclear war. We need to make sure that we keep things on the up and up. We want to make sure we have good relations with one another. We don't want a nuclear war. That'd be devastating for everybody. And Russia is the one coming to the table to propose this. So, again, they have Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov reaffirmed last week that Moscow would not lift its own memorandum on nuclear tests unless the United States does it first. So they're putting the ball in the United States court, and they're saying, hey, look, you do this, we'll follow suit. We'll make another agreement with you. We want to make this agreement. Putin was actually very eager about doing this. But the United States said no. So, again, where's Marco Rubio? Where's President Trump? Where's Pete Hegseth? Why are they not coming to the table and saying, yes, we want this. We want this now. We want to expand the expiration date on this. But we need to have a substantive response from Washington on this before we go through with this. This, again, would be another push towards peace. We'll see if President Trump wants that. I don't know that he wants that. We'll have to see. Only time will tell. Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you'll share some of this information with other people. It's very important that we get this information out and share with other people. That way they hear about these things going on. Because you're not hearing this on the mainstream news. I got to be honest with you. You're just not hearing this. But you're hearing it on my show. So I hope you'll share the show with some friends. Again, make sure you keep your house in order. Make sure that you're storing up food, water, ammunition, gold, currency, whatever the hell you need to be self-sufficient. Make sure you're doing that. You never know what's going to happen, especially in times like this with our economy. Folks, thanks again for being here. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you here tomorrow on the next Marco Dre Show. Until then, be good, stay busy, and God bless.